thousands marched across major German cities in one of the largest anti-conscription protests in recent years. The demonstrations erupted as the government pushes ahead with reforms to modernize military service, days after the Bundestag approved a new voluntary program requiring all 18-year-olds to declare their willingness to serve.
So we are the voices for the people that can't come out here, that can't speak, because they're labeling us as criminals, and we're not criminals. No human is illegal. We're all humans. So the story behind the whistle is to let our community know, hey, we're here, don't come out. We have your back.
I want everybody who's working underneath Chief Bovino to understand that during the Hague, as not just a historian, as an advocate, but I was just following orders will not be a valid defense if you are acting and violating people's constitutional rights, also under color of law. As we say in New Orleans, you will get that issue and whoever wants to fall with you.
How long is this operation going to last? We're affected. This is a domino effect. Our families are being affected. Our kids, my children go to school with other Hispanic children that, unfortunately their parents are undocumented. So my kids are coming home. They're scared. It's a moment of uncertainty. A lot of our community feels fear. So it's been very emotional.
Police in Tanzania have announced that any protests during next week's Independence Day would be illegal. The news is raising concerns of further clashes after last month's post-election violence. President Samia Suluhu Hassan's victory in the October presidential vote triggered protests across the country after her main rivals were disqualified. Hundreds of people were killed, according to international rights organizations, and thousands more arrested. The UN's Human Rights Commission on Friday reminded Tanzanian authorities of their obligation to ensure the right to peaceful assembly. It also urged security forces to refrain from using force and make every effort to de-escalate tensions. Police say that the organisers of the December 9th protests are inciting participants to seize property, disrupt hospital services and block the streets in order to paralyse economic activity.
At least 120 people, 100 of them police officers, have been injured in clashes during anti-government protests in Mexico City. Thousands of demonstrators marched in the Mexican capital to protest against violent crime and the government of Claudia Sheinbaum. The president accused right-wing politicians of funding the marches. Our World News correspondent Joe Inwood reports.
They came to call for an end to corruption and violent crime, and took their anger out on the presidential palace. Police with riot shields fought to hold them back and were met with stones. They fired tear gas in response, trying to disperse the crowds. The authorities say that the majority of those injured were police. Many of the protesters carried the black skull that has become the symbol of youth protests around the world, although there were said to be people of all ages here.
This is one of the most corrupt governments we've ever had. A sold-out narco government that, instead of defending the people, chooses to protect the corrupt and the cartels.
We're going to fight until the end. We can't allow Mexico to become like Venezuela or Cuba, a dictatorship. Mexicans are fed up.
That picture he was holding was of Carlos Manzo, the mayor of Uruapan. He had called for tough action against Mexico's cartels and was assassinated as a result. Many were wearing the cowboy hat that has become his symbol.
We are marching for the vile murder of Carlos Manzo because we want justice for him and for all those who have lost their lives and their property at the hands of criminals.
It was not just Mexico City that saw protests. This was Guadalajara, where the state palace was not so well protected. Despite the unrest, Claudia Sheinbaum has high approval ratings and blamed the protests on her right-wing opponents. No one would deny that Mexico has deep-rooted problems with violent cartels, but there seems no easy or peaceful solution. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
What's going on, people? What's going on? It's Pilgrims in the Earth. First and foremost, all praises be to the Most High. We're going to get right into it. As you see, people are starting to get tired of the government. This is a collective thing that's going on worldwide. You know, they're starting to rise up against the powers that oppressed them. When has any of these governments actually served the people? Every government program can be independently done by the actual people or citizens themselves. In fact, the government jobs is to make citizens dependent on them. In return, they can have power over you. What's the common denominator in all these protests internationally? Government corruption. If I build my own house, why would I worry about the housing market or property taxes? Right? If I have my own farm or my own food resources, why would I care about food prices going up? Right? Of course, we know nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and a nation divided against itself cannot stand. So you're gonna see a lot of fall of government, but this is already predicted or prophesied in the scriptures. But realistically, government is supposed to provide structure, but that original structure, which is in the heavens, was established by the Creator of all things, on earth as it is in heaven. You know, that's the Most High's intended plan. You know, in Revelations, that kingdom will come down, but before that, Christ will put all governments under His feet. He's coming back to establish order. So when you hear kingdom or everlasting kingdom, is directly from on high, but the world has rebelled against that structure. So technically, it's our fault. But this is what we chose. This is the result of rebellion against the original established government by the Most High. Yeah, but follow me. Let me read this in what's this? First Samuel. First Samuel, chapter 8, and I'm gonna start at verse 5. And said unto him, Behold, thou art old, and thy sons walk not in thy ways. Now make us a king to judge us, like all the nations. So, of course, this is Israel or the Israelites or the Hebrews asking to have a king over them like the other nations, because they didn't want the Most High over them. They wanted to have a king. They wanted to be like the other nations. But Samuel was going to warn them. See verse 6. But the thing displeased Samuel when they said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed unto the Lord. Verse 7. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Hearken unto the voice of the people and all that they say unto thee, for they have not rejected thee, but they have rejected me, that I should not reign over them, according to all the works which they have done since the day that I brought them up out of Egypt, even unto this day, wherewith they have forsaken me and served other gods. So do they also unto thee. Verse 9. Now therefore hearken unto their voice, howbeit, yet protest solemnly unto them, and show them the manner of the king that shall reign over them. Verse 10. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. So the Most High is showing Samuel to tell them, exactly what's going to happen to them if they put a king over them, right? So you're asking to replace the Most High's order and put a man or flesh over you. And this is what's going to happen every time. It's going to be corrupted. Let me show you. Verse 10. And Samuel told all the words of the Lord unto the people that asked of him a king. And he said, This will be the manner of the king that shall reign over you. He will take your sons and appoint them for himself, for his chariots, and to be his horsemen, and some shall run before his chariots, right? So he's going to appoint his own men for war and all that. You know, as you see in the first video, I think that's Germany, where they're talking about the draft, right? They can control the draft and all that. As you see in the scriptures, King David, used Uriah the Hittite to put him in the midst of on the front line for his own purpose. Okay, verse 12. And he will appoint him captains over thousands and captains over fifties, and will set them to ear his ground, and to reap his harvest, and to make his instruments of war, and instruments of his chariots. And he will take your daughters to be confectionaries, and to be cooks, and to be bakers, right? So they're going to have a pick of the litter. Verse 14. And he will take your fields and your vineyards and your olive yards, even the best of them, and give them to his servants. What do you think these government friends, what do you think they doing? They having a good old time. You know, they having a good old time, just like Ahab, right? Ahab took the vineyard from the guy through Jezebel. Verse 15. And he will take the tenth of your seed and of your vineyards, and give to his officers and to his servants, right? So you're appointing men over you to police you, but not have the responsibility, right? You know, or the accountability. They're just they just having a good time ruling over you. Verse 16. And he will take your men servants and your maid servants and your goodliest young men and your asses, and put them to his work. He will take the tenth of your sheep, and ye shall be his servants. And ye shall cry out in that day because of your king, which ye shall have chosen you, and the Lord will not hear you in that day. Because the Most High warned us that this would happen. We asked for a king over us. We asked for these governments, right? So when these taxes are raising and your money ain't money in no more, and you just working just to make it back to work or pay your bills and go back to work, you've asked for this oppression. So what you see going on in the world is, people crying out for help. You know, they're getting frustrated. They're getting tired of wickedness ruling over them. You're paying your taxes. You're working hard. You're slaving for these people to divide your money and do what they want to do with it and raise taxes. You keep taking more taxes out of your money. You have government, looking good, and you have the actual population suffering to make ends meet. So the Most High always shows a lesson in the disobedience. Not only is he going to consequence you for it, but he's going to teach you why you shouldn't have went this way. And that's what he's doing. He's allowing this to happen. So the people who come back to him, who don't want this world, because best believe Satan will present an ultimatum too. You get what I'm saying? He will bring structure after all the chaos. But of course, we know what that structure will be. That will be the beast system. But yeah, man, this is I really didn't want to be long-winded with this. But if you can like, share, and subscribe, it's Pilgrims in the Earth. We out.
I couldn't help but notice your pain. My pain, it runs deep. Share it with me.